Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of What Woke Looks Like, the podcast. I am your host, Yolanda Hops, spiritual curator and educator. And tonight we have an amazing show planned for you. We are going to be interviewing none other than the beautiful Geechee girl vegan herself and the owner and founder of Alvira's Apothecary. So buckle your seatbelts and get ready for a fabulous ride. We will be right back after a message from our sponsors.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
And we are back. As I stated earlier, I am here tonight with this amazing young lady. She is someone who I met about 2 years ago. We were members of the Buku Hoodoo Book Club that is run by none other than Chantrell Lewis, who is the founder of Buku Hoodoo Festival that is held every year in New Orleans. And Xania and I were members of the book club. And we had the privilege of being roomies when we attended the festival this year. Oh, she is an amazing, amazing spirit and just an awesome person. Now, here's the real tea. Xania is a Savannah native. She's a free-flowing spiritualist, vegan chef, oh my goodness, and an herbalist. This chick really does it all. She's the owner, again, of Geechee Girl Vegan and Alvira's Apothecary, where she combines her passion for plant-based cooking and natural healing. So let's welcome Xania to the stage.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome in, Xania. Welcome in. How are you this evening?
Thank you. I am magnificent, feeling good, excited to be here. And it's always good to kiki with you.
Yes, it's always good to get a key in. I thought I might had better set the stage for everyone to let them know that you and I have history.
Yes.
So they can kind of know what to expect. Okay, there will be some kikiing and cacaing going on tonight.
Always
a good time. So listen, I know that you have got some amazing, amazing things that you're going to share with us, and I can't wait to dig in. First and foremost, I want us to take a journey back. Okay. Let's just go back a little bit and let's just talk about how you got started on this amazing journey as not only a vegan chef, but also an herbalist. That's a lot of hats to wear. So, and by the way, you also literally have on a hat. So, it fits, right? It's all synchronicity, right? So good evening. We got some people coming in. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. So tell us a little bit about how you got started as a vegan chef and herbalist.
Wow. Well, yes, those are two of the hats that I wear. I have many, many more hats under that. My love of plant-based cooking actually started in 2020 when I was living in New York City. I moved to New York City at 21 years old to pursue my career in fashion. I studied fashion in college. And so New York is where I started working in TV and film and production, doing costumes for all of your favorite TV shows and movies. And when I was about 23 years old living in New York, I felt something tell me that by the time I was 30, that I was going to be vegan. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous because I'm from the South. I'm from Savannah, Georgia. We eat, low country balls, gizzards, all of the things, fried chicken, Roger Wood sausages. So I was like, that message doesn't sound like it was for me. I don't know who that was for, but that's crazy. But
Right.
then during the pandemic in 2020, after I had been watching Tabitha Brown for a while and loving her
Mm-hmm.
videos, something told me, let's just do a little meatless May. I ain't doing
Mm-hmm.
nothing anyway. I'm stuck in my apartment. And so I
Right.
made a carrot dog, a hot dog out of a hot dog out of carrots, for those that don't know. And it was actually really good. I made some chickpea tuna. I said, okay, I could probably do this. So, of course, New York has so many different vegan restaurants that are really good and a lot of different options. And so I was like, it might be something to this. And so little did I
Right.
know, you know, going on that journey prepared me for where I am now as a vegan.
Yes. Yes, yes. And so what has that meant to you? Because again, the name of this particular podcast is What Woke Looks Like. What has that journey into veganism, so to speak, meant for you and your spiritual journey?
It's very spiritual. So just like I said, starting with that little inkling and that whisper from God, if you will, when I was 22, 23 years old, being clear enough to listen to my intuition, listen to the messages that came through to me, and
Mm-hmm.
not just, shooing it away as something small. And so
Right.
I actually just followed my intuition and was open. And so I needed to be open with what I ate in order to even have the possibility of becoming a vegan chef. And so along my journey with film, between like the strikes that happened and the industry slowing down 2 years
Oh,
later,
yeah, yeah.
in
Okay.
2023, that's when, I had been sharing my vegan recipes on social media, on TikTok. That's how I built my following on there, as well as
Okay.
Instagram. Because I was like, I'm a fashion girly. I don't want this on my page. This is killing my vibe. I'm a millennial. I have a certain like aesthetic, how we think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it started out as a creative outlet. But during that time when the film industry slowed down, people was like, I want to try your food. I want to try your food. I'm like, I ain't no chef. I don't like what I look like cooking for some people or whatever. But I was like, look, I could start banging these pots and turn the stove on and make some.
Right, right, right.
So that's exactly what I did. So 2 years ago, I turned it into a full-blown business. During that first year of business, I catered Queen Afua's Sacred Woman conference, and that was
Ooh,
especially only being 6 months into my business.
that's
Um,
big.
yeah,
That's big. That's
huge,
big.
huge,
That's
huge.
huge.
So I'm
Right. Yeah, that's
grateful for
huge.
that opportunity.
Yeah.
I made a banner, which you'll see in the video that will play, that I said, I offer cooking classes, I'm a private chef, all the things. And so the banner was $200. And I was like, well, child, I'm not about to probably buy another banner. So let me put everything that I want to do and I see myself doing on this banner. And I basically called that forth for myself, because within 6 months of having that banner, somebody hired me to be a private chef and come twice a week into their home. I catered multiple events. I did cooking classes for
Amazing.
a organization. And so going back to your question of how did that, affect my spiritual journey, it was all spiritual. It was
Mm-hmm.
completely walking by faith and being open and seeing what happened,
Yes.
because
Yes.
that was not a part of my plan. I was supposed to be somewhere winning an Oscar, you know, um, doing my fashion thing, but God had other plans and was like, no, like look at
And
me.
did. And did.
Because it
Yes.
unfolded so easily. It was so divine. It was nothing that I could have ever planned or, thought of on my own.
Right. Right. And touche, touche. I love that. I wanted to just really quickly bring something up here to the stage. Regarding veganism, because I think that there may be some misconceptions surrounding veganism. Um, People sometimes get the terms vegan and
Mhm. Oh,
vegetarian a little twisted. So would you mind? I don't know how well you can see this. Can you see
yeah.
this?
Yes.
Would you mind kind of going through that for everybody so
So
that they can get a good understanding?
Yes, I completely understand because every time I go to a family function or go to any function at all, people are like, oh, okay, you vegan, you can have some fish, right? You can have some salmon, you can have some of that shrimp. And I'm like, no, I don't eat meat. I don't eat seafood, no dairy
Right,
products. So there are many different types of vegans. You have
right.
people who are, plant-based, no animal
Mm-hmm,
products within their food. You have people
mm-hmm.
who do it for different reasons. People do it, solely for their health, solely for what they eat.
Right.
Complete veganism is like no leather, no harming of animals of any kind, no honey.
Mm-hmm,
So there's definitely levels to it.
mm-hmm,
I'm the type of vegan, I definitely do it for my health. I did it for my body and because I felt called to do it. But I'm
mm-hmm.
the type of vegan to convince other people that they should be vegan. When it comes to my business and my food, some of my favorite customers are not vegans. I just serve
Oh,
food to people who enjoy good food, those who are
yeah.
vegan curious, and foodies all alike. So that's what veganism is all about. Showing you how
Okay,
to
let's
create.
clock that term. I want to quickly clock that term, vegan curious.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Loving that. Okay, so you're gonna have to copyright that, trademark. You're gonna have to trademark that. I'm just saying, vegan curious is a whole vibe. Okay,
Yes, because I was
and
curious once upon a time.
right. To your point, at some point in time, you were vegan curious, and then you said, you know what? I think I'm gonna go full force.
Yeah.
So, and as this definition states, it's you're being cognizant of the fact that animals have to endure a great deal of cruelty to become food,
Mm-hmm.
clothing, and other things.
Yeah.
So veganism is promoting the development of those animal-free alternatives for the benefit of everyone. And
Yeah.
that's the thing I think that a lot of people don't realize, the fact that it has a tendency to benefit the environment.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Because the more meat we as people eat, the more gases that get emitted into the earth. And so, yeah.
right, 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 exactly. So yeah, so thank you for kind of enlightening us on that, because I feel as if there's still some gray areas surrounding those definitions and exactly what they mean.
Yes.
So I want to kind of double back because you mentioned having that opportunity with Queen Afua.
Mm-hmm.
Would you mind telling people who Queen
Yes.
Afua, because everybody doesn't know who she is. So kind of share with us a little bit about who Queen Afua is.
So I like to refer to her as the godmother of wellness. She has been serving the Black community and the community at large in the sector of
Mm-hmm,
wellness for the past
mm-hmm.
40 plus years. She started
Yes,
out doing wellness circles and treating women in Brooklyn, New York, where she is
yes,
from. And globally, she has written a book called Sacred Woman. She has
yes,
written a book called Heal Thyself. And basically, she teaches women to honor their bodies through food, movement, and different practices in order to be
yes,
themselves.
yes, yes, yes. Queen Afua has also worked with, for those who don't know, many celebrities,
Mm-hmm.
people like Erica Badu.
Yes.
But that's the main person who sticks out in my mind. I
Lauren,
believe who else was that?
Lauren London, Jada Pinkett Smith, Tiffany Haddish.
Yes, yes, yes. Tiffany Haddish. Yeah, I've seen all of them just draw so much knowledge from her, and she has been a force in the community for quite some time. So I could imagine how stoked you must have been when you got that opportunity.
Yes. And it just all came from me showing up, popping up and popping out with my business. And basically, one of her right hand women, she came, tried my food, and she was like, "Ooh, we need to call you." And so, yes. So,
Oh wow, wow. Listen at this, Xania. Asada wears a certain color every day based on what she learned from the Sacred Woman book.
I love it.
I love that. I love that. We're also getting Reggie Walters is here saying amen. He's giving you the amen, sis.
All right.
Giving you that amen. I love it. I love it. So I wanted to move a little further into what this spiritual journey has been like, moving from veganism into some other sectors. Like we've talked, I kind of briefly mentioned earlier that you and I were a part of the Buku Hoodoo book club, and we've attended the festival together, which was an amazing experience for both of us. But then also I kind of wanted you to just talk a little bit about how you came to decide that this is a journey you were going to go on. Like, how did you decide, or what was the turning point for you that led you into that world to dig deeper spiritually?
Yes. So I know we all like to say, like, this is where my spiritual journey started, but you're always on a journey from the moment you come out of the womb, from the moment you're on this earth plane. But consciously, I would say my journey started in 2020 again. When I just started going on YouTube University. Us in New York, we were really locked down. I don't know about the rest of the world, because Atlanta was in the club and everywhere else, but we were really locked down. And so all I had was my computer. And so I was watching YouTube videos, and I was on, what was the app? Clubhouse.
Clubhouse. I remember Clubhouse. It was a hot thing. Yeah, that's true.
So then I watched a movie called In Our Mother's Garden that Chantrell produced and directed and starred. Of course, it's a documentary. Yes. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. But it was just all about healing, mother, womanhood, and their journey in dealing with that. And I had never seen, any ancestral veneration done in that way. Of course, growing up in the South, I saw different things, but wasn't conscious of what those things were. And so seeing that film basically just gave me a green light and a permission to just further dive in and explore what that was. And so then I started in classes with Chantrell and Mama Coco, and then that led me to joining the book club, and then me too. And so it was all in alignment.
Yeah, very much so in alignment. I'm curious, was there anything else that happened that may have given you that little push or that nudge to dig deeper into that spiritual world and that lifestyle? Was there anything else?
So I would say probably even deeper than just that, and the gaining knowledge through that medium, going through my return, which is something that happens to everybody on earth, whether they're aware of it or not, around 8 years old. So by this point, I turned 25 in 2020. So I'm taking classes and looking at YouTube from 2020 to 2022. 2023 roughly is when the Saturn return started. And you want to explain, or you want me to explain what that is?
Oh, I'm happy to explain if you want me to. Your Saturn return is essentially when Saturn returns, the planet Saturn returns to the same place it was in when you were born. So, for those of you who may or may not know, if you haven't had, looked at your birth chart or had a birth chart reading or what have you, you have planets that sit in each astrological house of the zodiac wheel. And so each planet plays a different role depending on where it's placed. I won't get into, like where yours is placed, but
mine is placed in the first house. I know it's a whole nother language, but it's very imperative a part of the journey.
It is very much so. Yes. First house. Now, oh boy. Yes. First house is a big house.
Yeah.
Your first house, and just kind of giving some tidbits. First house is all about ego. It's about self-awareness, identity. It's all of that. So what happens a lot of times with that Saturn return, and Zania can speak to this, you kind of go through an identity crisis.
Yeah.
If you haven't had one yet, if for those of you that may be watching who are a little younger, if you're younger than 28, 29, you can expect some, major maybe upheavals. I'm not saying your world is going to come crashing down, but it is going to change the way you view so many things via that Saturn return. Saturn is the planet that rules karma, responsibility, discipline, time. It rules all of those aspects of our lives that none of us can escape. So your Saturn return is when you get to do like a review of where you are in those areas of your life at that time.
Yes.
So you're saying that Saturn return is really what?
Yeah. Because you see, it's a complete identity shift, right?
Yes, yes.
Food group. I couldn't go a month without eating crab legs.
Right.
So, also, I was a fashion girly working in TV and film. Everything I did was about fashion. And like I said, all I cared about was working with this person and that person and climbing up the ladder in Hollywood and winning an Oscar. But then all of a sudden, at 27, I'm like, wait, hold up. I'm living in my dream city with my dream job. And now not only am I starting to just change, my interests are changing, but I'm feeling called to go in a different direction. I was called to move back to Georgia. That was definitely completely different because I'm like, wait, I'm in the big city doing big things. That's where I need to be. So then as I'm still working in television and film in Georgia, you think March 2023, you could check Google and see when the Hollywood strikes happened and when the industry started to slow down and when those numbers started to change and when those work calls started getting less and less and a lot of us were out of work. I was out of work for 365 days before I even considered turning my hobby of cooking vegan food on social media into a business. I resisted day after day after day. It never crossed my mind. But in that Saturn return, I had to let my ego die, look at the which my identity was built upon. And, subconsciously, it was never like an ego thing of, oh, I'm this and I'm that because I'm working with this person and I'm doing that. It was more so a subconscious putting my identity into my work. I took pride in my work. I showed up a certain way. And I valued myself based off of the hard work that I put out. And to the average person, that doesn't sound like a bad thing. But what I have learned throughout these 3 years of my Saturn return that started March 2023, that will be over February 13th, 2026. Okay.
Come on and do the countdown. Come on with the countdown, sis. Come on now.
Y'all definitely follow me on social media and tell me happy Saturn return ending. Y'all tell me that on February 13th. I'm celebrating it like it's my birthday.
As you should. As you should. And then you need to play the theme song. What was the song that Jocelyn Hernandez had? What's the name of it? What's the name of it? Do it like this might be, baby. That need to be your theme song for that day. Okay?
Why? Because I have looked at all of my foundation, looked at all that I was made of and that I built my identity upon. I tore it down. I rebuilt it based on things that were internal to me, not on outside forces. My identity is now just stronger than ever. I feel extremely rooted in myself. At this point, we're 2 years in, so I've been taking the lessons in stride. Now I'm no longer fighting what this journey has been trying to teach me. Last week was my last time working at two part-time jobs that I got earlier this year, and I'm deciding to go full force, full-time into my business, betting on myself. Mind you, the business been there the whole time for the past 2 years. But because it's a journey, I had to get to this point within myself where I said, you know what? I done spent 60 to 80 hours a week working on set for somebody else's dream. I done spent multiple times, clocking into part-time jobs in order to build their businesses. why don't I just bet on myself and pour that into what I've been given as a gift, and just see myself as the currency and just bet on myself.
Yes,
So
yes,
I
yes.
graduate with flying colors. Saturn can really get off my neck because I think that I'm doing pretty well with the test personally.
I think you're doing an amazing job. And I just, want to say that because, you are a young woman who is, still has so much of her life ahead of her. But for you already to have developed this sense of awareness centered around, and first house will do that. Any planets that you guys have in first house, I'm telling you right now, that's going to run your life. Okay. Just like, I talk to clients all the time and we talk about the ascendant or the rising sign. That is the sign that sits in your first house. It is where the Eastern horizon rose on the day that you were born. And that dictates the rest of your birth chart. So if you have, for example, your rising sign sitting in the first house, if it's in Pisces, then your whole chart starts with Pisces from the first house and it rolls all the way back around to the 12th house, and it's going to go in the order of the zodiac. Pisces being the last sign in the zodiac and Aries being the first sign. That means you would have Pisces rising first house, Aries in the second house. So it really does have a tendency to shape. And you having that Saturn placement, that's an intense placement in the first house.
It is.
Like your whole life is like, oh, I got to be disciplined, which is, and we got Trelawney is saying, I love that. Wow, okay. Well, Xania, do you love that?
I think I'm going to love it at some point.
And you will. And you will. There's gonna come a time in your life where you're going to appreciate it, but it's having that sense of awareness and allowing Saturn to do the work. Mm-hmm. And if you allow Saturn to do the work, the thing a lot of people don't understand about Saturn is that as much as people think it punishes, it rewards. If you do the work. Mm-hmm. We talk all the time about do the work. If you do the work, the rewards and the payoff from allowing Saturn to do what it's going to do in that house are going to be tremendous. Yeah. And I can tell you've leaned into it like without hesitation.
Yeah.
That's just a test. And guess what? There'll be other friends of yours who will go through theirs, and you will be there to provide them with a little bit of
all going through it right now.
Okay, right. I was gonna say you probably have some going through it now. Mm-hmm. And so you can kind of maybe, give some words of encouragement and be like, okay, girl, we got this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what's happening, really.
Wow. We've got Trelawney saying Saturn has kicked my behind.
Ooh, kick back.
That's all you got to do is just kick back. Mm-hmm. Whatever it's trying to teach you, you say, okay, I accept the lesson. And once you lean into it, it becomes a lot easier. But Saturn is not an easy planet to deal with, but it is definitely worthwhile leaning into.
Yes.
So I wanted to kind of switch gears just a little bit here because we're about to go to commercial break. But when we come back, okay, we've talked about Geechee Girl Vegan. I'm going to share a clip of that while we're on break because I want people to see you in action. Okay. But then when we come back, I do want to lean into Alvira's Apothecary. We have not had a chance to talk about that yet. And I can't wait to hear more. You and I have talked about Geechee Girl Vegan, but we haven't had a chance to talk about the Apothecary.
Yeah.
So when we come back with more Xania Pierce, you guys don't move. Stay right there. Be back in a minute.
What's up, y'all? It's Geechee Girl Vegan. Did you know that October is Gullah Geechee Heritage Month? The Gullah Geechee people have such a rich history, and our traditional foods reflect that. Fresh seafood, okra, and rice are some of the main ingredients in our dishes. Each dish tells a story connecting us to our ancestors and the lands they inhabited along the Gullah Geechee corridor. The Gullah Geechee corridor spans from the lower coast of North Carolina all the way down to the upper coastal lands of Florida. Our culinary practices are deeply connected to our West African roots, and dishes like red rice is a true testament to that connection. The use of rice as a staple ingredient in this dish and many others is directly linked to the West African rice growing tradition that predates our ancestors' enslavement here in America. As a Savannah, Georgia native, I grew up enjoying these delicious flavors, but wanted to make them accessible to everyone, especially those of us that love living a vegan lifestyle. Trust me, it's possible to keep all of that amazing flavor without the meat, dairy, or seafood that we're used to. I love sharing these recipes and traditions with y'all because they represent a part of who I am, and it's so important to keep our heritage alive, especially through good food.
Girl, now you got me hungry.
Look, me too.
I bet that was the intention, wasn't it? I'm straight up and down hungry in here right now. Are you serious? Really? All of that food looked so amazing. It was like mouth watering. Oh my gosh. Now tell me what that event was again, really quickly.
So it was a compilation of numerous events, but that was the Heritage Month. That was why I did the post, just in celebration of October being Gullah Geechee and Hoodoo Heritage Month.
And were you the one? Did you spearhead that whole event, or were you kind of a part of a larger collaborative?
It's a larger collaboration.
Okay. Yeah. I just love all of that.
And it was an event called the Vegan and Friends, which is every Wednesday here in Atlanta. For anybody that wants to indulge in vegan food, check them out.
Oh, I love that. Okay, Atlanta ATL folks, y'all hear that now. So you have no excuse not to immerse yourself in some of these experiences because they are being made available to you. If you will follow Xania over on IG and TikTok at Geechee Girl Vegan, you can learn more. Okay?
Yeah, so much more.
All right, so let's switch gears just a little bit and let's talk about this.
Yes, my newest venture.
Yes.
So Alvira's Apothecary. And so this lovely lady right here is my paternal grandmother, Alvira Solomon Jackson. And so how this journey started was in 2021 when I was doing a film in Savannah. I heard about something called the Gullah Geechee Herbal Gathering, which is an herbal conference that takes place every year near Charleston, South Carolina. And I was just like, ooh, I'm going to just go by myself and explore, learn about herbs. I don't know what really made. I just was like, I just want to go do it. And I don't care if anybody don't go with me. And so I went, I learned so much. I learned about, dyeing indigo, different herbs, foraging herbs, that were local to the area, learning about life everlasting, learning about different Gullah Geechee herbal remedies. And so that inspired me to get into loose leaf teas. And so for the past 3 years, 3 or 4 years, I've been doing loose leaf teas just for myself personally, as well as for friends and family. And so recently, earlier this year, I was like, I'm going to offer it, to the world and create a space where we can learn about herbs together. I would refer to myself as a baby herbalist, even though I've been, working with herbs for the past 4 years. But I just wanted to create a space where I can be just open with my journey and share all of my different teas that I've crafted, my indigo journey. Because indigo is a plant, for those that don't know, and it's the blue plant, and it's how we get, our denim, our jeans, and, originally when they were organic and made, by hand. But yeah, and so my grandmother, Alvira, I learned through listening to stories from my aunts. I like to call them sometimes and record different stories that they share. My grandmother had a garden in her backyard where she would have ginger and so many different types of herbs to help them with different ailments and things like that. And so yeah, when I found all of that, I was like, I'm naming this Alvira's Apothecary as just a homage to my grandmother.
I just love that. Trelawney was agreeing with us a second ago when we came back in, and she was agreeing, saying, yes, same. She was agreeing with everything that you were saying. I too was a granny's girl, and still am, even though my grandmother is no longer, my maternal grandmother is no longer with me, but she had such a huge impact on my life. Linnea, hey, Linnea. That's another one of our good friends and book club sisters. Linnea is saying veneration in action. I know that's right. I know that's right. So important. But, just the mere fact that you were able to tie all of these experiences and lessons into this journey and to be able to make your maternal grandmother a part of that. I mean, how powerful is that for you?
Yes.
How powerful is that? What I'm curious to know, what have your family members thought about this?
I mean, they love it. My aunt, she was like, I don't know how y'all get into this stuff. Mama used to do this, that, the third, and she was like, it's so interesting because I'm like, I don't know how I got into this, honestly. And it just shows that, a lot of things are just simply ancestral. And even with my cooking, I honor all of my grandmothers who have gone on, as well as my last living grandmother, because they were all known for their cooking. And so I didn't even know how to cook before being vegan. I'm not even gonna lie. I used to make spaghetti, salmon in the oven and maybe some chicken wings. But for some reason, when I decided to become vegan, I just intuitively had these recipes in my mind, like the devil crab and the dressing and the red rice and the greens, and even I made vegan salmon croquettes. Like, I've never made the real version of any of that a day in my life, but because I knew how it tasted from when they cooked it, I was able to just recreate it in a vegan way. And I ain't gonna lie, it was some resistance at first because they're like, what are you doing? Like, don't blame us if this come out nasty, because you doing a lot. But I could just feel their presence when I'm making things. And I pray over my food, pray over my ingredients for the health and well-being of everybody that eats it and myself. And it just reminds me of them, honestly. And so, yeah, it's this one picture. I didn't give it to you, but my grandma is her cooking at my childhood home, like the first home I ever lived in. She got a cigarette in her mouth and she cooking Thanksgiving dinner. And so that's always like the energy that I feel when I'm cooking.
I love that. I love that. The female solution is saying them ancestors came through them cooking fingers.
Listen.
Real soul food. Come on now, real soul food. I mean, yeah, and I can relate. I'm not a chef, but I've always enjoyed baking.
Mm-hmm.
And because I've always had this sweet tooth, right? And the best way for me to get my sugar, rush taken care of was for me to get in that kitchen and start baking. And so when I was about 9 or 10 years old, I started baking cakes. And that came as a result of having eaten so many of my grandmother's baked goods. Yeah. And at that time, she was still alive, but I got so much joy and so many stories about down through the years, how I've baked so many goods for church functions, for friends, for family. And that love, I feel like it always shines through. Your food is not going to taste right.
If you ain't got that love,
if you don't have no love in
listen, because I can't cook with an attitude. Don't cook my food. Got an attitude.
Don't. And just get out the kitchen.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
No, don't even try it. Don't
Yeah.
even try, because we don't want any, But that's always been my theory too. Like if I go to a restaurant, especially if it's somewhere that I eat, where I eat all the time, and the food it's a little off that night, I'm like, okay, either this is a different chef or whoever's back there cooking is not having a good night.
Yeah.
I can tell. And that could be because I'm somewhat of a foodie. My husband and my son cook a great deal. We even had a catering business for a while, and we know good food. You know what I'm saying? You're not fooling us. We know good food, honey. We like to eat over this way. And I also think, those Southern roots that we talk about all the time, they play a big role as well.
Yes.
I kind of want to get a little bit into that.
Okay.
And talk about, culture.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go down that particular rabbit hole. I'm gonna get this up here because I want for us to dig a little bit deeper. Want to talk about some roots.
Yeah.
Okay. Want to talk about some roots. I want to talk about what it means to be Gullah Geechee and how that has also impacted this walk that you're on.
So the Gullah Geechee people were the ancestors that came over from West Africa, specifically places like Sierra Leone and Senegal and other parts of West Africa, to the Sea Islands of Georgia and South Carolina and North Carolina. The Gullah Geechee corridor, of course, expands from North Carolina all the way down to the top of Florida. See here, I was born and raised in Savannah, Georgia, which is one of the hearts of the Gullah Geechee Nation, along with, of course, Charleston. So basically, they were brought over. They knew how to cultivate rice. They knew how to work with the indigo. Those were things that they already knew before coming to this land. And if you go back and look at history, those were a few of the cash crops that made a lot of money during that time. And so as far as my lineage and my journey, so I was born and raised in Savannah, Georgia, but my parents were born and raised in South Georgia, Southwest Georgia. And also their parents, well, some of my grandparents were born and raised in Northern Florida. And so at their bloodline, and I've done their ancestry, we have a lot of Seminole ancestry. And for those that don't know, Seminole means runaway. Where did they run away from? Those were the people from Georgia and South Carolina who ran away or who were sent, to South Georgia, South Florida. And so it's all connected. So when we talk about, just things happening spiritually and ancestrally, my parents were in the military. They had a choice whether they would live in California or they would live in Savannah. They chose Savannah. And so they just knew that I, as curious and inquisitive as I am, I would be the one to do all of the remembering, go dig, bring back all of these things within our bloodline and learning about all traditions, all of these customs, and like who we are at our core and at the root. And so, yeah, like you have up here, Gullah Geechee is a Creole language. Creole just means mix, and it's just the different things, different, ethnic groups. And so I hear people say, we speak Geechee or speak Gullah. And so Gullah is the South Carolina, North Carolina, Geechee, Georgia. And so that's why I named my business Geechee Girl Vegan, because Savannah is very Geechee. I also was raised since I was 2 weeks old, back in the day. People who wasn't even your family would watch you because my parents were in the military. So a Gullah Geechee woman, Queenie Mae Jones, she raised me and brought us into her family from, as I was from when I was a young baby. So all of that was tied together to have those influences and what influences who I am, my cooking, and basically all of my interests, honestly, when it comes to culture.
I just love that. I love every last bit of it, girl. It's good to the last drop, like some Maxwell House coffee. Okay. That's when you know I'm old. Talking about Maxwell. but you know, like you were saying though, all of these things, it's like a potpourri of history, if you will, because what it does is it gives us like a bird's eye view into exactly who you are and the things that led you down this path to get you to where you are today. I love, and I think I've told you, I married a Gullah Geechee guy. My husband is also a product of this community here in Savannah. And I always tell him this funny little story, and I don't know if I've mentioned it to you before. So many years ago, my cousin, one of my first cousins, married a guy from Charleston. And when she married this guy, I'm not gonna, call any names or anything. Her mom, my aunt, my mother's sister, when they would come visit from Jersey, she would always say, she married this Geechee. Well, I'm a kid, right? And so I'm trying to figure out, like, what does that mean? What are they? What? I'm like thinking, does he have a tail? Like, you think about being a kid and how wild your imagination is. But she kept saying it, like she repeated it like multiple times. He's Geechee. Like his name is Bobby. No, Bobby Geechee. He real Geechee. I'm like, what is that? Oh my God. And I would literally sit in the corner and peep at him, trying to see if his Geechee was going to come out. I just didn't know what to make of it. And nobody was trying to school me. Yeah. But of course, as I got older and I began to be more curious, just about the culture, our culture as a people in the diaspora, I found out what Geechee meant. And I was like, is that what they were talking about this whole time? Yeah. I didn't have anything to be afraid of.
Thing. People, didn't want to be associated with that name, or even the dialect. So if you've ever seen the movie Daughters of the Dust,
yes.
Like, grandma and all that old stuff. We going to the city. We're adopting new customs, a new way of talking, a new way of being. So the Gullah Geechee corridor expands far and wide. There's people really all over America. A lot of the enslaved people who came through the coastal ports, they either came through, like, of course, Virginia, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia, Louisiana. So a lot of people, if they do their ancestry, they may see that they have some roots in, pre-colonial Southern Georgia and South Carolina. You never know.
Well, when you talk about the drop-off points, Savannah was a huge port where many slaves, were dropped off. And so a lot of us came from this area. It was a major port or hub for the enslaved to be dropped off. And then people just kind of dispersed. The same thing for the Louisiana coastline. A lot of people dropped off in that area and then migrated as well. So it just kind of depends, on what your drop-off point was. But if you don't do the research, you're not ever gonna know.
Right.
And to just kind of piggyback off of, what you were saying earlier about, essentially like Linnea was popping in and saying, ancestral veneration. That veneration part is such a key piece.
Yes.
Every time
know who you are.
It does, but every time you mention Alvira's apothecary, even Geechee Girl Vegan, you are venerating your ancestors. I don't know if you know how impactful that is. But it is so important for us to get back to these roots and for us to honor them, because our ancestors are literally waiting on that.
Yeah.
because so many of us have forgotten who they are because we've been so brainwashed into believing that ancestral veneration is evil.
Yeah.
And that we should not be doing it. But the truth of the matter is, we should be. We definitely need to be.
We venerating other people's ancestors. It's done everywhere. On the money and the monuments, the street names, everywhere, you know. You look at the different streets in different cities.
Of course.
The names of the cities.
I wanted to also, just kind of highlight the fact here that when we're talking about, the vegan culture, we're also talking about, the Gullah Geechee culture. We're talking about arts and crafts and music, and how the ancestors of the Gullah Geechee people brought to this country such a rich heritage of African cultural tradition. And it goes beyond just food. It's also the art and the music.
Yeah.
I wanted to really quickly bring up this video that you shared with me. You spoke about indigo. You've mentioned that earlier. Could you speak to that just a little bit more while I'm getting this video ready?
Yeah, so the Gullah Geechee people brought over things like the indigo dyeing, sweetgrass basket making, so many different things, the ring shout, many different things. So you see the influence in church. You see it with the haint blue. If you go and see blue doors and blue ceilings to keep away different spirits, that's a Gullah Geechee influence, a West African influence that they brought over here. And just more specifically with the indigo dye, is something that just called me. Like I said, I learned about it at the Gullah Geechee Herbal Gathering. I was very infatuated with the color blue. It's kind of like similar to this blue, but it comes in different shades. And so I was just infatuated with the whole dyeing process, especially with me working in fashion and loving textiles and clothing. And so, yeah, I love all of the different ways that we've expressed ourselves and the things that we've brought and influenced in the country.
I love that. So we're going to share a quick clip about an experience that you had. And this was very recent, wasn't it? Set the stage for that.
Yes, so this was about a year ago. I'm terrible at editing. I have videos that's like in my Rolodex, but I went to Baltimore, where my husband is from. I was like, they doing indigo dye in Baltimore. So I went to Baltimore and I went to the Kabibi Ajanku dye village to learn how to work with indigo dye. And so that's going to be my new thing, to go around learning different techniques about the indigo dye.
I love it. We're going to listen at this and watch this quick clip of Xania immersing herself in indigo dye.
I flew from Georgia all the way to Baltimore, Maryland to learn how to work with indigo dye at the Kabibi Ajanku Indigo Dye Village. As a descendant of those who were once enslaved, not only am I a child of the cotton, a child of the tobacco, a child of the rice, but I am a child of the indigo as well. Indigo was historically a cash crop in America before the Revolutionary War, and the Gullah Geechee people were instrumental in its production. Our ancestors came over here with the knowledge of how to work with the indigo, because indigo is actually native to West African countries like Mali, Ghana, Ivory Coast, Senegal, and Nigeria. The technique you saw us using with the wax is a technique that they've used for centuries in Nigeria to make patterns and prints on the fabrics. When Miss Ajanku asked me if I wanted gloves, I said absolutely not. I wanted to be as close to the indigo plant as possible, and it just made me feel so close to my ancestors. What you see here are pictures of Nigerian Adire. It's called that in Ghana as well. I'm just so in love with indigo dye fabrics. It's vibrant, it's beautiful, and just the color blue has such a significance in African and Gullah Geechee culture. I can't believe I found the dope piece I have on in this picture at a thrift store, and it was hand dyed in Ghana.
Girl, that looked like that was so much fun. It looked like that was so much fun. I wanted to quickly catch some of the comments coming in. When we were talking earlier about venerating, Linnea is saying the truth is we already are. We always
Always.
venerating, and we don't even realize it. And she also says that we've been doing it. We've been doing it all along.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Naima Latif is saying that she didn't know that indigo was valuable like that.
So valuable. So valuable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And you know what? I knew that it was important.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I recognize the value either. So I'm kind of like Naima in that respect. I didn't realize how valuable it was.
So they use it to make denim, jeans, but also as a form of protection. The indigo plant has healing properties. So what you see when they're getting their hands blue and they're using that as a protection on their body, they used it to create those paint colors, to ward off the spirits, to confuse the haints, as they call them.
Haints. Okay. Come on, haints.
You know, to make it seem like it was water. So they would just get confused and not want to cross it. Homes. And so when you go to places in Georgia and the Low Country and South Carolina, North Carolina, and even in New Orleans and Louisiana, you'll see those blue doors, blue ceilings, people wearing blue clothing. And saw me have one with that piece that was handed out in Ghana. They refer to it as a D-ray. And see, even it's something that's called shibori in Japan or East Asia. So many different, you can see it in many different cultures, how they were influenced by certain techniques. But our people were the ones who brought those techniques to America. And even when you go and look at interior design and you see people doing coastal interior decor, and they have that specific color indigo blue, that is influenced by the Geechee culture.
Wow. Well, listen. This has been such a good time. I mean, and you know, you and I could talk all day. we could go on and on and on, but the wealth of information that you have shared with us today, everything from ancestral veneration, talking about the Gullah Geechee culture, talking about veganism, talking about indigo dye, talking about all of your experiences, the Saturn return, and all of these things that have made you the embodiment of what woke really looks like. You're truly what I consider a revolutionary insomniac, because of the fact that even if you haven't had sleepless nights yet, you're gonna have some. That's a part of being an entrepreneur and birthing a legacy. There are going to be nights, and I'm not talking about sleepless because of the fact that something bad is happening. I'm talking about the ideas are going to be flooding in, the ancestors going to be dropping downloads, and there's going to be some nights you're going to be up with pen and paper like this, or at the computer like this. That's a part of the birthing of the revolution, right? And you're a part of that, and I'm so grateful that our paths crossed. And it was divine intervention from the beginning. And I can't wait to see what happens next. Tell people where they can find you. We've got it running across the ticker at the bottom, but let them know where they can find you, how they can get in touch, and any upcoming events that you might have that they might want to be a part of.
Yes, so you all can follow me on my business page at Geechee Girl Vegan on Instagram as well as TikTok to see all of my vegan recipes, vegan events. As for events that I have coming up on November 22nd, I'll be doing a pop-up in Savannah, Georgia, and it will be, this is an exclusive for y'all, it will be a collaboration. Another business, another fellow Geechee girl, and her business is called Geechee Girl Apothecary, located in Savannah, Georgia.
Yes, so I've been there.
Collaborating.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that.
I also will be doing my vegan devil crabs for the Sankofa House Savannah Give Thanks Feast on 11/23 in Savannah, Georgia. And then I also will be doing Thanksgiving plates with the vegan dressing, the yams, macaroni and cheese, greens, vegan crabs, potato salad, and that will be taking place in Atlanta, and I'll be taking pre-orders. So if you're in Atlanta or Savannah, definitely follow me, and yeah, stay tuned for everything else going on. And then also I have Alvira's Apothecary on Instagram as well, but you'll see it all in my bio when you go to Get Your Girl Vegan.
I just love it. Xania, thank you so much for coming to share with us this evening. It has been a blast. And we're going to be connecting soon. I can't wait to come to that event. You said November 27th, right?
22nd.
22nd. Oh, girl,
Yeah.
I'll be there. Go ahead and just go and text me all that so I can put it in my calendar.
So
okay.
Much for having me on your platform. This has been amazing. Always great talking to you. I enjoyed it for sure.
Yes, thank you so much. And now for some closing remarks from the Female Solution. I hope everyone has a wonderful night. Bye.
Bye.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jareh. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.